You're listening to Boobies and Noobies, brought to you by the Frolic Podcast Network. Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to a special holiday edition of Boobies and Noobies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today's romance review marks the 5th episode in Boobies and Noobies' second annual holiday special, The 12 Days of Boobsmas. That's right, it's the 5th day of Boobsmas, everybody. This December, we're celebrating snowy sleigh rides, holiday balls, and riotous drinking, all with 12 holiday-themed romance novellas, 12 podcasts, and 12 giveaways. Join us December 1st through 23rd for all the festive fun. Joining me today for the 5th day of Boobsmas festivities are Kelsey and Ashley, the hosts of Make It Modern podcast. Welcome, ladies!
Hello!
I'm so excited to have you both on. I know Ashley and I have talked before because I was happy enough to guest on Make It Modern on one of your astrology podcast episodes, and we talked about how amazing it is to be an Aries.
That's because you are amazing, and let me tell you, Ashley knows what I'm gonna say.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
So Ashley, every time it's, because we switch off our astrology episodes to pair us, I'm an Aquarius, she's a Scorpio, with signs that we're not necessarily compatible with. And so we interview them and try to understand them. So every single time it's Ashley's turn to interview somebody, I'm always like, ha ha ha, you have to do it this week. And her retaliation is to get all of the hosts that I, love and adore and actually listen to. So when she said, she was like, oh yeah, I got Kelly. And I was like, I'm going to burst a blood vessel. I was so jealous. And I'm not a jealous person, but I was like, are you kidding me right now? So I am more than thrilled to be here. I am over the moon. It's like a dream come
Oh my
true.
gosh, you're so sweet.
It's my Christmas miracle. It's fine.
Oh, I'm so excited. Can you brief everyone just sort of on the idea behind Make It Modern?
Ash, you got this one?
Yeah, I can do that. So
Teamwork.
basically, Make It Modern is we basically talk about old shit and what it'd be like in modern times. And, that can be Romeo and Juliet meeting on Tinder. It can be King Henry VIII and his many, many wives and having an execution viewing party with some nice rosé. It's pretty much just anything that doesn't need to be talked about, we talk about.
Yep, and Ashley is a huge history nerd, so she does a bunch of really, really in-depth research. I do barely any.
See, but if it's a conspiracy theory, Kels is all over it.
That one I got. That one, conspiracy
You
theories
each know your
locked
strengths
down.
and weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so it's basically the audience learns right alongside me. It's really fun.
The Smithsonian channel, is my aspiration, and they liked one of my tweets, and I was like, oh my god,
It's been our goal for them to sponsor us. That's the overall goal. If it happens in 30 years or 30 days, we don't care, but Smithsonian, please sponsor an episode.
I love it so much. No, that's perfect. Well, and I have to say, you guys have really kind of discussed modern adaptations of everything. I'm a fan of when you discuss Robin Hood, and then there's Cary Grant films and Keanu Reeves in Much Ado About Nothing. That killed me when you guys talked about him, because that is the surliest Keanu Reeves of all times.
It's so underrated.
It's because Keanu Reeves is my ultimate hall pass. I love him so much. Also, his star chart is near perfect. So we have to bring him up in every conversation if we can.
He and his girlfriend are super cute. I'm like, oh my god, he's dating someone that's his age. That's unheard of in Hollywood. So,
he's precious.
I know, and he's so respectful too, and he doesn't put his hands on women when he takes pictures.
Yep, and I'm just oh, he's perfect.
I can't say anything more good.
She's like blushing as we talk about him right now. I know it.
No, Ashley knows my face. I'm sweating a little bit.
That's okay. I mean, he's worth sweating over.
Yeah, that's facts.
So I have to say, you know, especially since today we're going to be talking about a story that's like clearly adapted from like a classic, you know, fairy tale. What do you think, do either of you have a favorite holiday story adaptation, whether it's like a movie or TV show? What's your favorite one?
Oh, man.
So, like, I have a super weird one because I don't think a lot of people think it's holidays-esque. But I love Great Expectations.
Wow, I definitely did not see that one coming, for
because
sure.
Because nobody ever thinks of it, but I just think it's really well done, so that's, like, a really go-to for me. And then there's also just, like, I shouldn't admit this, there's this one version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that has, like, the world's greatest soundtrack. I probably couldn't find it if you even asked me to, because I looked. And it is, so if people know this, please at me on Twitter. It's a version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's animated, and it's a wonderful adaptation. It's really delightful. And they definitely sing, like, the Beatles song, like, the Christmas. I'm not gonna sing it and get you, you know, canceled. But, but it's, like, it's a really great adaptation. So that's my other, like, I have to watch this when I'm home, go-to Christmas
Is this
movie.
not like the claymation Rudolph? Like the old school one with like the elf that wants to be a dentist?
Kelsey, you shut your mouth.
Ashley knows my, like, issue with, like, classic things. No, I can't stand the claymation one, but, like, obviously the, like, cheap AF. Am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, you swear as much as you want.
Solid. The cheapest fuck, like, definitely Walmart brand. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is one of my favorites.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I've ruined everything. Ashley, you go.
I am trying to think if I have one, and like, I mean, I love the old claymations. I think they're so great, but like, I love the like the Disney, like when the Mickey Mouse has like a not Great Expectations, a Christmas Carol, or any of like their Christmas themed things. I love watching those. And I really liked the new Grinch adaptation because the Jim Carrey one kind of creeps me out. I wish I had a better answer. I'm kind of like, I've got nothing. That's my contributions.
No, I mean, I feel like both of those are like such creative answers. Like I just think of like, oh my God, there's like 8,000 versions of A Christmas Carol, and y'all are like pulling out Great Expectations and The Grinch, so that's fantastic.
I mean, if I was gonna be honest, like Hallmark Christmas movies, I love them
yes.
all. They're terrible, but like I need them. Lifetime has stepped up their game
for
also.
Sure.
I mean, there's even adaptations on Hallmark. Didn't they just do something called like Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe?
Oh yeah, sure. They did. I haven't seen it yet, but that is on my list.
Yeah, they're all on my list. Honestly, I'm a sucker for a Hallmark Christmas movie for sure.
They're just so good. And I love my reliable happy endings.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's, I mean, definitely one of the reasons that I love reading romance. So, I mean, that's the perfect segue for me to ask each of you. Have you, before reading this story, which we'll talk about in a second, had either of you read romance before?
I have, actually. I'm like a big, like, I love my first ones were like Regency era ones. Those were I think my favorite one is Trapped at the Altar. And then I have recently dabbled into, like the romance with the, like reverse harem action, like shifter brands. Like, so I like with the magicians or the
interesting
mages or like werewolves. And I'm just like, what up? So now when I read a love story and there's only one like love interest, I'm like, boring.
That's a big shift from like Regency, you know, historical romance to reverse harem shifter romance.
I know. It was such a jump.
Yeah, Kindle Unlimited has done wonders for me. So
I think for me, this is gonna sound wrong, but like, let me explain the situation and it'll sound less weird.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Basically, I grew up, I'd spend half the year in either Kentucky or Milwaukee, and then the other half of the year I'd live in the middle of the woods in Wisconsin. So it was like we lived on this compound. That's the only word I know for it. It's not really like a cult. But it was like there's like 75 people. You all know each other, and you can't, like, the nearest town's 30 miles away. Anyway, setting the scene. So there's this huge lodge. At one point was the largest lodge in Wisconsin, and it has this like women's library basically that for some unknown reason is filled entirely with romance novels. So what we used to do growing up when we wanted to play drinking games is our friend group would all like just take a random book off the wall, and then we'd find like the sexy scene.
Oh yeah.
And read it aloud, and whoever laughed first had to down their drink. So by the end of it, everybody's like losing their minds, and like A, we're hammered, and B, we're just laughing at each other reading sex scenes. So that was like my first introduction. It's my favorite thing. I still love playing it.
I would lose that so quick.
Same. I mean, you always do, and especially like this, again, sounds weird, wasn't weird. We used to play it with our parents because it's like hilarious just to like try to. I'm telling you, there's like 75 people here. We didn't have much of a choice. You drank with who you drank with. Anyways, so then I was definitely very much into like the Tumblr fanfiction era, and like kind of still am. I enjoy it a lot because I like finding indie writers that aren't necessarily published, because I think there are a lot of people who are like really hidden and actually phenomenal and just have no idea how to write a book, but can write really like quick stories, because as Ashley will tell you, I don't have a long attention span. So like reading full novels is not my ish.
Got it.
And then I also enjoy Audible audiobooks.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful. I'm not so specific as Ashley is with like the shifter and everything. I'm mainly just like, I like the modern day times. I like them a little dark. And I also like more than one love interest.
Interesting, because that's definitely not like a specific characteristic you find in a lot of romance. I mean, you know, setting aside if it's like a polyamorous relationship or, you know, any sort of that sort. But yeah, that's usually so you guys like it a little on the grittier side.
I mean, yeah. I want to count how many times Ash gets uncomfortable during this podcast.
Stop.
Because it's really easy to make Ashley uncomfortable, and I'm like shocked she's being like so great and not blushing, but I know what her face looks like right now.
Man,
we really want to have you on our show, Kelly, because we want to do, she has been pitching this where she wants you to like come and do like the history of erotica novels, and she's like, just to make you uncomfortable. Actually, I'm like, you bitch.
Yeah.
No,
but
oh my gosh,
like
I am
7
so
months.
there. You don't have to talk me into that at all.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Anyways.
No, I love it. Well, if it was all about making Ashley uncomfortable, I could have chosen a much dirtier Christmas book.
Yeah, this is pretty PG. I was reading this, I was like, yes, I don't have to really comment much.
I love how Ashley's like, yes, it's PG. I'm like, well, okay.
Because okay, like the ones that I read aren't always, but
No, I would definitely categorize this as like PG for sure. Like it's
for sure.
It's almost like in romance when you don't have explicit sex scenes, normally you would call them like a closed door romance, and I think it's like one step above that. Like we do get a little bit of intimacy. It's very tame, like especially compared to some of the other books we've been talking about for Boobsmas. So something to look forward to when you're listening if people haven't caught up yet.
I'm thrilled. I'm so excited.
Before we get too far into it, let me just brief everybody on what we're going to be discussing today. And today's reading is The Wrong Heiress for Christmas by Bianca Blythe. And this comes from Bianca Blythe's holiday anthology series, Lords, Snow, and Mistletoe, a Regency Christmas Collection. I mean, I'm a sucker for, like, titles that rhyme, so I'm okay with it.
I'm so into it.
And this series features 3 short holiday novellas, all by Bianca Blythe, and we're actually going to be reviewing all 3 of them for Boobsmas. This series came out October this year, 2019, and it's available on Amazon for $7.99 Kindle edition or free with Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, baby.
What up?
And I'll just go ahead and jump right into the Amazon synopsis because it is brief. So here you go. This is The Wrong Heiress for Christmas. Celia might be the daughter of an earl, but she's of the illegitimate variety. She has resigned herself to life as a maid for the wicked countess and her 2 half-sisters. When Celia's half-sister begs her to pretend to be her for a Christmas house party, Celia is thrust into a fairy tale. Everyone knows, though, that fairy tales never come true. Oh, that's like a really ominous way to end that synopsis.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like fairy tales never come true. Okay, cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't remember it ending that way when I first picked it up to read, but there you go. Spoiler alert, this fairy tale works out okay.
It goes well.
We're all good.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, obviously, you know, if it's not clear enough from the synopsis, we'll just put it right out there that this is clearly a retelling adaptation of sorts of Cinderella, but like Regency era Cinderella.
Yeah.
Have you discussed Cinderella or fairy tales on Make It Modern?
We have.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Kelsey, you just go. Sorry, Kelsey, you go.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say we've not done Cinderella necessarily. That's actually a good one. We should kind of like.
Yeah, I can't believe we skipped that. Who are we?
Yeah, I was like, we've definitely. But we usually do, like, we do a Disney movie adaptation every once in a while. So we definitely. I mean, the most memorable one we did was talking about Mulan and then The Little Mermaid. So those are real interesting stories.
It's true.
We're gonna bank Cinderella from here on out.
Yeah.
I'm like mad at myself because it's such like a morbid story. The real one.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Isn't it in the original one, like the stepsisters get like their eyes pecked out?
Yes.
Yeah, but then also they like cut off parts of their toes to fit into the shoe.
And you know what? I've seen that in some adaptations. Like, I think they actually did that in, oh God, what was the musical? Into the Woods, like a few years ago.
Ooh.
I want to say that's actually in the movie of Into the Woods. And I've seen the stage show, but it was years ago. So but I think that is actually in there.
Yeah, I would fast forward that. I'm not no thank you. I don't really need to see that. Like, picturing it makes me cringe already.
I don't know. I'm so desensitized. I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen Into the Woods since it came out, but like I feel like it might have been in there, but I wouldn't have taken notice.
Such an Aquarius.
I'm like high functioning sociopath has no issues with gore, violence, or murder, you know, cutting off
Yeah,
fingers.
whatever. It's just another day, you know, in the world.
For sure.
As far as like Make It Modern and, you know, thinking about adaptations, I know I'm putting you on the spot with this one, but do you have a favorite adaptation of a Cinderella story?
Obviously the Hilary Duff one. Hello.
I was just
A Cinderella story.
I was like, Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. And the drought ends with the kiss on the hook.
Not to be confused with A Cinderella Story 2.
With Selena Gomez, which is also a treasure.
I was gonna say, the Selena Gomez version is not bad. The music in the Selena Gomez version is way too good for that film.
Yeah. I unfortunately have seen them all, and I think like the Freddie Stroma one, and then I haven't seen the newest one that came out with Greg Sulkin, who is a babe. But
Was that the one like a few years ago that was like the live action Cinderella?
yes, with Richard Madden.
Yeah. That one was actually pretty good, I gotta say.
I loved it. I loved like how they kind of like made the message a little bit more modern about have courage and be kind. No, what did she say?
Yeah, have courage, be kind.
Yes, and I loved that, especially for like younger kids. I was like, that's a really great like new kind of take on that, because obviously in the cartoon she was nice, but I don't think they played it up as much.
Yeah, I liked that they gave the prince like a storyline in the new Cinderella too.
Yeah. I also loved his interview on Jimmy Kimmel when he explains about how he has to wear specific pants in a specific cup to lock everything down in there, and how at one point he's trying them on. He's like about to cry. He's like, I can't wear this. It hurts too much.
He was like saying like, yeah, you know, I mean, she wears a lot of like corsets and stuff, but I got corsets too. It's just like on my dick.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that one. I love the costumes and everything. Obviously, her waist size, I was like, that can't be real. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really liked it. But the Hilary Duff one, I feel like is just iconic, especially for like people our age. Like, come on.
It's just that's the adaptation we grew up on. Like, I feel like there's so many. Like, I was thinking about it the other day with Disney Plus and everything coming out. Like, there's so many early 2000s era things that are just, you can't replicate them. And I truly feel bad for other generations, both before and after, who did not get to experience the incredibleness that was, like, all of the teen films, plus Hilary Duff as an entire zeitgeist. Like,
I was a fan of, that Drew Barrymore one,
gosh.
like at the end
Yes,
of the 90s.
Ever After.
Ever After.
That actually was probably the one that, as I was reading this, I was like, oh, this is just like Ever After. Like, that was like the one I was like connecting with the most.
I love that one. I think, God, okay, the dress she wears is so unlike any other thing with like the wings and everything. And I'm just like, you go, Drew Barrymore. And it's much more like of a real, not realistic, but I mean, her stepmom like whips her. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Brutal. It is a brutal.
Yeah, you watch her
retelling.
dad die from a heart attack. Like it's just fucking. It's intense, but it's really, really good.
And then she like, her stepmother like sells her like to this evil guy.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So to be fair,
like,
none of that is happening in this story. Just so people aren't coming into this thinking it's going to be just like Ever After. Nobody is being sold. Nobody is being whipped.
It's very, very mild. She just has a shitty stepmom. Well, it's not even a stepmom, really. It's her dad's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting kind of setup. But I mean, again, very, I feel like, reminiscent like of that era is that, you know, she is the illegitimate daughter of an earl and her dad has died. And so she's basically been taken in by her, you know, her dad's wife and her daughters and raised with them, and she went to school with them. But now she's the maid.
Yep.
It's like, it's a cold world, man, because I was, not to be comparing it to Ever After, but in that one, her mom was like of some ranking, right? So in my mind, I was like, why doesn't she get that title? And so with this, like, obviously her dad is an earl, so I just was like, I mean, it sucks because she's raised, and, you know, she can't ever really say anything because people will often comment, as they point out in the book, how similar she looks to Lady Theodosia.
I say Theodosia just because isn't that somebody's name in Hamilton?
Yes. And if you don't think I was thinking that the entire time I read this.
There's a whole song about her. Like, that's how I know how to pronounce her name.
Yes. Yes. And I was like, someone is a Lin-Manuel fangirl here. You know, putting her in the novella.
Yeah, could be.
I'm not mad about it. But, like, you know. Don't try to be subtle here.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, let me ask you both, you know, coming into this, what were some of the things that you really liked about the story?
First off, well, let's just go into character for a little bit here. I actually really did like, for as short of a novella as it is, they do really well with character development.
Yeah,
like,
I thought so too.
I liked that I kind of knew everybody, even though it took me a few times to, like, maybe I'd have to reread stuff to be like, oh, is that Theodosia or is that Celia? But, I also, like, definitely liked Frederick, the Duke. I was like, you know what? We stan an intellectual. I love that he's trying to come up with, like, waterproof clothing, because I'm always cold, so, like, appreciate it. For me, I was like, that was what kept me going, because I think they had a lot of nice little moments of, like, oh, there's this manor, and it's funny, because I used to live right near Yorkshire.
Oh, wow.
Where it's set. I lived in Lincolnshire, which is, like, it's still in the Midlands. Anyways, that brought me back. So I was like, oh, this is really nice, because I've had to explain to people before from like, I didn't live in London. I lived in the countryside. And people don't always understand that. So having those nice little moments of, like, little touches of British things was like, oh, that's cute. I like that.
That's great. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you have this perspective of having lived there.
Yeah. It was a little added little touch. It was nice. I enjoyed it. Ashley?
I think there's a couple things that I really liked. I liked one that obviously he doesn't know that she's a maid, and when she's going off saying, I'd really love to manage a household, you know, he's kind of disappointed by that, because I feel like for that supposed time era, that was all women were really expected to do. So the fact that he was disappointed by that, I was like, oh my gosh, Frederick, you are the real deal.
Yeah.
I was really into it. And I liked that there was obviously, like, some humor with her cousin or her half sister and the Viscount. Thank you.
Yep.
And I just was like, you both are like really egotistical people. I'm so glad we end up together because with anybody else, it would be a disaster.
I felt the same way.
I thought they were so cute too. I thought it reminded me of like the lovers in a Shakespeare play.
Yes.
Yeah, where you're just like, we get it, you're happy.
Yeah, like I'm like, you're useless to this. Like we don't really need you, but like you're entertaining.
Yeah, you're the inciting incident and literally serve no other purpose.
Yeah. And then they run off, and he's all French.
He's all French.
I think my favorite quote was like at the wedding, everyone's like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful Lady Theodosia is. And then the Viscount was like, I am also as splendidly dressed as her. It's like, okay, buddy.
He was very proud to be as beautiful as he is.
You know what? If you gotta flaunt it, that's what I gotta say.
Yeah, for real. No, I'm with you. I think the characters I liked a lot. I honestly loved the fact that Celia like actually aspires to be like a housekeeper, like, and I know that that's in part due to the fact of like her circumstances, but also I'm like I think it's nice, like it's kind of when you hear about women putting down other women like because they just want to be housewives or they just want to be mothers, and I'm like, what if that's what somebody wants to be or who they want to be, let them be that. That's what feminism is. So what's wrong with her wanting to be a housekeeper?
Yeah, and like the way that she described it too, especially being like, I want to make sure everybody that's like working in this is happy, so that everything can work. And I was like, that's like the smartest response to it. Because obviously she can tell that he's kind of disappointed by her response.
Right.
So like when she explains it, it was a really cool way to kind of,
it was really thoughtful.
I feel like, and oftentimes in books you don't hear that, right? Like it's just like, oh, you just want to be a housewife and that's it. But they gave her a chance to like explain why that's important to her, and I really like that.
I also I've kind of dug that, and maybe this is just me because I hadn't really seen it in romance novels before, of like, I'm not gonna have a man and I'm not gonna have kids. I really want to focus on my career. I mean, obviously that goes to shit, but like I enjoy the sentiment behind somebody whose main goal in life is not just to rear children and be a mother. Not that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. I think that's very noble. However, I just, it's different to me.
Yeah.
Like that was so kind of foreign, and like Beale said, just like her sort of aspiration to be a housekeeper was so, I found it kind of out of the blue. In, like, a good way, when she actually told him, like, hey, no, I want to be a housekeeper. Like, straightforward. I want to be a housekeeper. I was kind of like, girl, good for you. Like, not even trying to be like, oh, I want something of higher standard, because to her, that is really high standards.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Part of me, like, wondered if that was, like, that's what she wanted just because of, like, where she was, like if she's like thinking this is all I can be, like in terms of like the amount of power that I have, or if it was like, no, this is like genuinely what I really want to do. Like I wonder if she did have more power and status, if she would like want to be something else. But no, I liked it. I liked that she defended her choice and was like, yo, there's nothing wrong with being a housekeeper.
And it sucks in that moment too, like Frederick doesn't realize that like that's what her station is, so she can't like be like, I want to do like, I want to be a princess or something, like just something like she can't really
right.
She's like a super realistic person, and like even throughout this entire book she knows that she's like in the wrong. She's not enjoying, like she could easily be enjoying being Lady Theodosia and like, Theodosia, whatever, and just like living her best life in her dresses and her jewelry and just taking it for all it's worth. But she's so cautious the entire time. Like, she doesn't want to pull down the gold dress, She is just so conscious of the fact that what she's doing isn't necessarily, like the greatest thing. But she just is trying to be a good person, really.
Yeah. Well, and she's not really going out of her way to, like, try to make him believe that she is Theodosia. I mean, she's not saying, like, yes, this is my station. Yes, this is my name. Like, she's really just kind of playing into whatever he it's very much like lie by omission, but she's also doing it to protect Theodosia, who's her half sister that she loves, who's run off to get married to the the Frenchman who says Z-fish.
Which, like, if we could talk briefly on, like, their relationship, Lady Theodosia and Celia, it's, like, sad.
It's really brutal.
Because she clearly loves this girl. And, like, she's like, oh, like, you can be my handmaiden or, like, my maid one day.
Yeah.
Like, really? That's what you want to have for your sister when you have your own fucking household? Like, oh, I was so annoyed.
I think
that's... Like, you don't deserve the kindness.
She struck me as, like, that's the amount of love that she has to give. Like, I mean, she very much is just, like, all about her. Even the mom, that awful, awful woman, is, like, when Frederick's asking for permission to marry Theodosia, thinking that it's Theodosia, but it's really Celia, he's like, oh, yeah, she's the most generous person. And the mom's like, really? Like, are we talking about, like, the same daughter? Because, like, I think of her as selfish, and that's a wonderful virtue to have.
Makes me want to fall.
That whole speech just killed me. That mom is just, atrocious.
She reminded me of, like, Mrs. Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, because I was like, anytime she was in the book or in the movie, I'd be like, get off the screen, nobody likes you.
Except, like, so much meaner. She was just so much meaner. Like, I even wrote down, I guess this is kind of segueing into, like, some of the things that I thought were a little bit weaker, but yes, the mom was, like, clearly evil. And I mean, evil stepmother. Like, it's an archetype, you know? Like, I'm prepared for it. I almost found her, like, a little too cartoon character evil to me, just because it was just so much sometimes.
When she was like, Celia, you're never leaving this house again. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't really have a lot of power about that. Like, she could escape, but, like, that's fine.
Yeah. She was, some of the things she would say, and then, like, even when she's at Frederick's, like, mansion, and she's, like, talking shit about his friends, I'm just like, to him, like, talking shit to him about his friends. I'm like, what? How is this gonna work out for you?
Right. Not great. Right? Like, she just sucks. I don't like her. And, like, I agree. I think she was almost cartoonish me, but I just was like, the entire time, she's like a straight up bitch. Like, just not kind at all.
Yeah, which, I mean, if that's the character, I mean, I get mission accomplished. You know, there you go.
I think they had to have somebody be that massive hurdle that they had to overthrow, because, like, let's be honest, his friends are super cool with him marrying outside of his station. His mom is, like, relatively chill with it once she figures it out. Like, everybody's kind of okay with it. So you needed somebody to be like, no, you can't marry a scullery maid. And so that, I think, is her sole purpose. But I do completely agree with the characterization of her just being so overboiled. And I'm like, all right, okay, you know, maybe we could have toned it down just a speed.
And you know what, the feeling that I got, I know you mentioned Frederick's friends, and the feeling that I got from the farther we got into the story, when they have the ball and we meet some new characters, I'm guessing that some of those characters probably came from the rest of this series. I guess this story is part of the Matchmaking for Wallflowers series, and there's just, like, there's a little note about it in the front of the story, and there's several other books that are part of the series. So I think this was kind of like the Christmas book follow-up to that series, where as we're meeting all of these different couples, and Frederick even mentions that some of them kind of got together in unconventional ways, I think we do see those in those other stories. So I'm sure if you've read them, it's like a nice little satisfying, you know, end to the series. But also, if you haven't, like, I didn't feel cheated or anything. Like, I felt like we got to know even, like, the small side characters. Like, they weren't as integral to the plot, but you know, they were fun.
Sure.
I was waiting for, like, there was one person that she said had met Lady Theodosia before, and I was waiting for that person to be like, that's not actually her. And then they kind of just, like, kept going, and I was like, oh no, okay.
Yeah.
They really, really gloss over that one.
Right, because wasn't there one of the husbands that was there? He said that he had met her before. I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be the one that I was, like, thinking he was gonna, like, know that it wasn't Theodosia, but he was gonna still, like, support, you know, this story that she crafted, and then the stupid mom would be the one to expose it. And I was like, wait, he didn't do anything.
Yeah, they just kind of, like, he was just, I feel like that part should have been taken out because he served no purpose, like, just a false lead.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, missed opportunity, as we say. I have to say, I do like, I really enjoyed like the first 50-60% of the book. Like, I really liked this whole kind of like setup, and I think where it starts to lose me for a little bit is kind of once we figure out, when Frederick finds out that Celia is Celia. And I mean, we knew that was coming, right? Like, there had to be like this big, you know, the secret blown wide open. After that, I was just like, oh my gosh, why are we waiting so long for Frederick to like pull his head out of his ass and go get Celia? And then my other problem was that after, you know, she goes home with that terrible mother, and he's left like stewing on, you know, oh my God, she's poor. We like just follow his perspective for like a really long time, and like we don't really see as much of like what's going on with her.
Yeah, I was not super cool with that. And like his big grand gesture is like becoming a footman or whatever. I was like, really? You let her go home with like her abusive sort of stepmom, and like, oh my God, I'm gonna go down to your level and like work it up. I was annoyed.
No, I had
my note was, that's a cute idea, but didn't really work out that well.
No, I had so many issues with that particular plotline, because I was like, I kind of understood why they wanted to go to his perspective. I totally agree with you. It took way too freaking long for him to get his head out of his ass. But the whole footman thing made me die, because this motherfucker is a servant for like 2 days.
Not even.
Not even like
a day and a half.
Like maybe 30 hours, maybe. And he's like, oh my God, the way the other half lives, it's unbelievable.
Right.
It's deplorable. I was like,
he's like,
what
he like
drugs
spends a night in servants' quarters, and he's just like, oh my God, is that a rat? I'm like, yeah.
I was like laughing. I was like, oh buddy.
I couldn't breathe, because the entire thing, I totally agree with you. Up until Celia leaves Yorkshire, I actually thought it was really good.
It was so charming.
So charming, so delightful. I'm sorry, I'm sick.
Oh no! I was like, I can't tell if she's coughing or laughing, but like, as long as she can breathe, it's all that matters.
Ashley will tell you, I like laugh, wheeze. That's my brand. So no, but I'm just like, I'm envisioning it, and then he's also talking about like the footman's outfit is too short, and then she looks at him and thinks she's having hallucinations.
Okay, yeah, that
poor
like,
girl. I was like, bitch.
Yeah, that's something I want to discuss for sure, because I was
like, are you on crack? Is there cocaine involved?
Yeah.
Who was your dealer? I'm so confused.
Who is your dealer? It's gonna be a white Christmas for all the wrong reasons. Oh God, you know, I'm with you. The footman thing, I was like, okay, I get the point behind this. Like, I'm like, okay, it's cute. I don't think it worked out well. And then the minute he shows up in the footman's outfit, and she's like, oh, I recognize that voice. It sounds just like Frederick. And then she turns around, and girlfriend like doesn't recognize him. She's like, I'm just like, wait, how elaborate is this footman's outfit that like you don't recognize this guy that you saw 2 days ago?
Is he wearing a mask? Like,
well, part of me is like, maybe this poor girl hasn't like eaten or like had any water.
Well, and then there's part of me that wants to be sympathetic, because I know myself how bad my memory is. So, like, I'm the first person to... No, like, this is a genuine thing. Like, I'm the first person to not introduce myself to people because I think I've already met them and I don't want to be weird. Because I just have very little facial recognition. I don't fucking know. Anyways, but I was like, girl, you slept with him! This isn't, like, an in-passing
and
thing.
She's so in love with him. He's the love of her life. And now that he's put on, like, a hat and coat, She don't know him.
Like, what is she gonna do when he changes seasons and he needs to, like, put on shorts? Is he gonna come downstairs and she's gonna be like, who is this person?
Exactly. God, heaven forbid he put on a hat or something. Or grow a beard.
Girl. Anyways, I'm sorry. I heard.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I wasn't alone with that.
No, I had so many problems with it.
How about you, Ashley? We haven't heard from you in a while.
No, you're good. I'm just sitting here like chuckling, like ha ha ha. No, it's just I don't understand, because like a grand gesture would be like going in there and sweeping her off her feet, and like, you know, she says the Lady Fitzroy or whatever is like, oh, she's not here. And I'm like, bitch, of course. And he knows she is. Like, it's a clear lie. Just go into her house and find her. Like,
yeah.
Instead of being a footman, like, that's a terrible grand gesture. Because, like, it
didn't work. Like, it just didn't work. Like, I feel, I understand the intention, but you're right. It was just so awkward.
And it just, like, I wanted, like, more from their reunion. And,
yeah.
You know, when he does go upstairs and he pushes the butler to the side, like, I got this. And they go up there. And the Admiral is like, wait, what? And, like, this fuck the Admiral, because he's the one that started all of this in the first place by making him mad at him for, like, not standing still for water being poured on him.
Oh, my God.
So, like, fuck that guy.
I gotta give her credit, though, for bringing him back into the story, like, full circle.
Yeah, the entire B plot of, like, waterproof.
Yeah, like, good on you.
Yeah. Did anyone else feel bad when they dropped the fish on the floor?
I was like, wait, he carried her carrying the tray all the way into this room, and then she just drops it on the floor. Like, oh my God.
Also, like, and this is maybe just my imagination of it, I didn't imagine him to be a particularly built guy.
I did not either.
In a laboratory. I personally Ashley and I are both pretty strong. We were D1 athletes, right? I can't carry my fucking groceries, much less a person plus a platter of fish up a flight of stairs. Like, is this man on American Ninja Warrior? It makes zero sense to me.
She described him as, like, masculine, and, like, his description was very brief.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, I don't know who to picture right now. I was like, all right, so a scientist person. And so, like, I wanted more of, like, she described both men as, like, a very masculine figure. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Like, strong jawline.
So Gaston.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's Gaston, but, you know, in a lab coat.
I can't unsee
Here's
that.
my other thing. Is his eye color kept changing throughout the book. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm very much
I didn't notice that. No.
I took screenshots. So, like, I need, like, some sort of, like, visualization, because Ashley and I have talked about it on our podcast. Whenever we talk about books, we're usually like, oh, who would you cast? You know what I mean? In a film version of this. And so that's how I visualize novels. I could not visualize this guy, because I swear to God, it was like every 40 pages, it was going from blue to brown, and then it was like his azure eyes, and I was like, they were brown 5 pages ago, but go off. Like, I maybe that's just me being, like, very picky, but I'm also just like, wait, so I was picturing this actor, and he was doing a great job, and then you were like, oh, he has brown eyes, so now I'm picturing another actor, and he was doing, you know, alright, and now we're back to actor number 1. Please make up your mind. That would be appreciated.
I couldn't picture anybody.
That's it.
He was a blob to
my
me.
gosh.
I just said, he's a dude.
I didn't picture him as much as I pictured, like, I don't know why this stuck out to me. And I know this is probably, like, historically accurate, but every time he talked about being in, like, the laboratory, and he's like, yeah, and by the candlelight, I did this. I'm like, oh my God, what? He's like working in the dark. Oh wait, they didn't have electricity then. Like, I just kept thinking about, like, oh my God, he's inventing all these things without a computer, let alone a light bulb. Like, how is this happening? You know what? I feel like overall, I feel like I've kind of covered all the stuff that sort of, like, stood out to me as, like, I don't want to even say it's something I didn't like. It was just more of like moments that I feel like could have been better developed, maybe, or we didn't need, like the footman.
Yes.
But I mean, how about you guys? Is there anything else?
I think the only thing is that they both had that, like, mistress or nah moment, which I'm very proud of Frederick for not, like, just being like, oh, she can be my mistress. Because, I mean, I have read those romance novels where, like, they're just a mistress or something, and I'm just like, I really don't want this. Like, I really want her to, like, be, like, get, like, the life that she deserves, because it's been so fucking sad.
Right.
I know. I was so happy they didn't make her a mistress, because that kind of goes on with, like, the forbidden love. And I'm like, no, it's not forbidden, it's just shitty. Like, just don't do that.
Right.
Like, she deserves better.
Yeah, and she gets it. I think they have a nice little happy ending. I like the little epilogue at the end where we get to see, you know, the family and traditions they've created, including a Christmas tree. I honestly had no idea that wasn't a tradition in the UK at that time.
Yeah, that was interesting. A little bit of historical fact there for you.
I was here for it. I think we did a podcast about, like, the history traditions, and I was like, I should remember this, but I don't. I was like, why are there no Christmas trees?
No, the reason you don't remember our Christmas podcast is because every time there was, like, a really, like, hard to pronounce foreign name, I forced Ashley to try to pronounce them. So I think she has PTSD.
I hated it. It was the worst. There's all these, like, Finnish names or something, and I just was like, you bitch.
She literally brings
Just put it in the past. Set
it
behind you.
It's like every other episode, she's like, remember that one time you made me pronounce Norse Christmas names? And I was like, yes, it was a highlight of my 2018 year, but I understand it was very painful for you.
The time where you started to, like, we were talking about Asian culture and you tried to pronounce names, I was like, yes, the white girl here should be talking about the Asian names. Okay.
Yeah, especially. There are a lot of things wrong with that. Anyway.
We sound very savage, and I just want to stress we love each other a lot.
We're like sisters, so this is very much our way of communicating.
It's roasting.
Oh, speaking of sisters, can we talk about the fact that we never see the second sister in this family ever?
I 100% didn't know she existed until the end. I was like, oh,
Amaryllis.
I thought they were just talking about a random person. Like,
I know. I forgot that she was like a character because we hear talk of Amaryllis and Theodosia, but we never see Amaryllis until the very end. And even then, she says nothing.
I feel like it's like a Jane Eyre situation. She lives in the attic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we have to pay at least a little attention to the sexcerps from this story, which there are very few of.
Correct.
So maybe we should call them hotter moments, perhaps. Because I know for me, I feel like one of the hottest, I liked their like original kissing, like makeout session in the snow.
Same.
I was here for that.
That was way hotter to me.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Like, it was nice and drawn out and like really detailed. I was here for it.
Yeah, I'm like, it's probably a little chilly, but okay.
It was so much better than like the not quick, but I mean, it was described pretty quick, the way that like he sees her in that dress and it's like, oh my god, I must have you, and then like end chapter.
Yeah.
But I love that when they're making out, he's like, stop thinking. Because like as a girl, I feel like that's so true. Like when you're making out, it's like, of course you're going to be thinking about things.
Right, of course.
But it's also like, it was like weirdly like juxtaposed hot because he's supposed to be the intellectual. And I'm like,
Ooh.
I was very here for that scene, despite the fact that the entire time, this is so sad, the entire time, because she's pushed up against a tree, correct? Mm-hmm. So I was just thinking, as somebody with like very curly and kind of unruly hair, I'm like, how much bark is she getting in her hair right now?
Yeah, I mean, these are real things to think about for sure.
Nobody should ever be thinking about that when there's this like beautiful hot scene in front of them. But I'm an Aquarius,
but we do,
and a high-functioning sociopath. So like, that's immediately where my head went. Was like, oh my god, is she gonna shower later? Because I don't think she is.
Well, and my head was immediately turned when they have sex for the first time, because she has just finished getting like glamorized for this ball.
Yes!
Her hair has been put up. She's put on the fanciest underwear of her life. She has this gorgeous dress on. He comes in and is like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. And then immediately starts undressing her and taking everything off of her that she just put on. I was enraged.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Didn't he also rip the dress that she was like, oh, be careful, nobody like rip this when like the
I
person was putting it
also
on?
thought that.
And I was like, sir.
Yeah, I was like, this is unacceptable. I don't care how hot she looks. She just got ready and you are going to ruin this.
Also, think about like as like our modern times like getting ready, it was nothing compared to getting laced up in those things and
Right.
like the hair and everything.
Yeah, she needs
extra
another
time.
person to help her. Like, how, that was my question, is like, he ravishes her, and then, like, does not help her get back dressed. How does she get back dressed?
She's probably got to just be free boobing it. Like, there's no way she's putting her corset back on.
Nope. Yeah, and then I was like
dangerous
thinking,
game.
oh, are they just going to skip the ball now that they've like, banged upstairs? I was like, oh, that's fine. That's a good way to get out of it. But then they got dressed again and she fixed his hair and his clothes. I'm like, okay, you better help her out too, because she's got a lot more layers, my friend.
Yeah, no.
She's like an onion.
Oh my gosh. I have to say, this is so minor, but like, when they do have sex, I thought it was like kind of fun that you don't see this in a lot of romances. Like normally in romance, he makes her come first and then is like, so overcome by pleasure that he's like, okay, now I can come. But in this one, he actually like pulls out and like comes on her stomach and then like fingers her until she comes, like to make sure that she still has a pleasurable moment. And it's like all written in like one paragraph. And I found that so interesting.
That was like the part that I was literally, as you were saying this, I was just going to say, I was like, yeah, like kind of interesting note. I didn't mind that pace, but you could have dragged it out for a couple more sentences here, babe. Like,
right.
Really tease that shit for us. That's
Yeah.
what we're here
It
for.
was so short.
It was
like
really
3-4
short.
sentences.
I know. I was like, I did appreciate the fact that it wasn't just them climaxing together like perfectly. I was like, okay, we have like a little timing off. Okay, that's normal. So I did like that. But yeah, I mean, the whole sexual experience between them is like less than a page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that we know so much more detail about like the type of tree that they're out there with, and, like the weather, and like when this is happening, it's like boom, done.
We spent more time with his fucking waterproof fabric than they did fucking. Like, that was my biggest issue, is truly, you built it all up. I was expecting the last, because I was like watching on my Kindle or whatever, like how many pages I had left. I was expecting the last 30 pages to, really be some salacious moments, and it was not. It was 2 paragraphs.
Even the epilogue, I thought there might be something else.
Right.
Nope, they have
I
kids.
was like,
Cute.
I want some married people sex. Like, you got the kids. Let's have you sneak back off to the snow, like cove by the trees.
Yeah, I would have been into that.
I think this is like a hard tangent, but my favorite part of the book is when Lady Theodosia says that it's her and the Viscount's love that has inspired the Duke to marry Celia.
That's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one.
I was like, of course, like obviously.
Yeah, because she's responsible for this entire love story.
My favorite is when, like, Celia comes back from the first dinner or whatever with the Duke, and the Viscount and Theodosia are just, like, chilling in bed.
Right.
I'm like, there were so many questions. In my mind, I was like, oh, I thought you guys really, like, pieced off. And then on second hand, did you not think anybody was gonna come in? Like, she could have easily just walked in.
I just don't think they gave a fuck.
Shit she didn't want to see.
Literally, their whole brand is not giving a fuck. I'm just shocked by it. Like, we're gonna ride off on his white stallion with his long mane of hair. And I was like, bitch, you wouldn't last like an hour. Like, there's no way you're going back to France on a horse.
Yeah, that's cold.
Although that was like Frederick when he finally went after Celia. He was like in the coach and he's like, you know what? This isn't fast enough. Give me the horse.
Oh, the days before Uber.
I don't understand it. It's just, I think most of the characters were great.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Well, I think at this point, what it all comes down to is I'm going to ask each of you to give the book a few grades, and we're going to grade for story, syntax, and sexcapades on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the very best that it could possibly be. And then since this is a Boobsmas episode, I'm adding in another thing to grade for, and that is for Santa.
Sorry, I don't know why that tickled me so
So
much.
don't forget the merriment and festivities and holiday spirit. Keep that in mind when you're grading for Santa. So let's start with story. Just out of 10, 10 being the very best that it could be.
I'll give it like a solid 6.57.
Okay, good.
I think I would also do like a 7.
Okay, we're totally on the same page then. I gave it a 7 too.
Sick.
Go us.
Yeah. How about the syntax? So Miss Bianca Blythe's writing style, word choice, etc.
Oh, I mean, that first 60% was so great. And then when he's a footman, I just can't. I'll go 6.
Okay, so a little lower than the story itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta give it a 4 based on the Duke's eye color alone. I couldn't get over that shit. Like I wish I could. I'm not even kidding you. It bothered me so much.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, and I feel like if I had noticed it, it would have bothered me too, but it definitely didn't stand out to me.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's a very picky thing, but I'm a very picky person, so it makes sense.
That's okay. No, I actually gave it like a 6.5. Like I really enjoyed like the bulk of the story. I have to say that the minute the French Viscount, yeah. The minute he started talking and they started having him say like, "Z fish, Z this," I was like, you shut your mouth, you stop it.
It's like, we don't need it.
It was so bad.
It's one of the things that irks me in romance. It's like the same as if you read a like Scottish Highlander romance and they write in the Scottish accent into the dialogue, and I'm just like, no, like, let me use my imagination.
Yeah, I agree.
How about the sexcapades?
I think it's like a 3.
Oh, I was gonna give it a
Okay.
solid 2. Like, I appreciate the kissing scene, but, you know, I needed more. I just, I was left unsatisfied. I don't know the word.
You did good.
Yeah, either way, no, I'm with you. I gave it a 4. I was like, I like that they do have like this nice moment, and I really like the makeout scene. Like, I thought that was fun. But yeah, I felt like it was missing something at the end.
For sure.
There was just too, like, I know that it's a shorter story, and that's like, they obviously it can't just be all sex, but
You can do a lot with a short story and
Right.
some sex, though. Like,
but like there could have been like another, like one more scene. Like the epilogue was the
Yes.
time, and she didn't do it, and I was like, okay.
that's
And I'm
how I
happy
felt
they
too.
had
Is I
kids,
was like, I think my score would easily go from like a 2 to a 7 had there just been one more scene.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like we're not even looking for like gratuitous amounts of sex, but it's like, I mean,
No.
even the last book that we reviewed for the 4th day of Boobsmas, that was like, we felt there was too much sex in it and not enough like story development. And then this one I feel like is lacking in the sex. So I'm like, I need something in the middle. Like I'm Goldilocks, Goldie Cox. Like I need it, I just haven't found the perfect fit.
I support Goldie Cox. Hit me up when you do.
Okay, so as we wrap up, I mean, it seems like you both have kind of dabbled in reading romance before, but that this was maybe like a little bit outside of your normal reading comfort zone. So I guess my question for you is, has this maybe expanded your overall view of romance, or do you have plans after reading this novella to, read more romance?
To be honest, for me, I have not done a whole lot of historical romance reading, and I quite enjoyed that. So that, I feel like, is something that I'd probably venture more into. Are we not rating Santa?
Oh my gosh, you're right. We skipped Santa. Oh my, shame on me.
I was waiting for it.
You're like, I don't care about the story. I want to grade Santa. Yeah, okay.
I'm a small child.
You guys will wrap up, and then let's wrap up our discussion, and then I promise we will end with Santa.
I love that this has become like a kindergarten class.
I won't take that away from you, I promise.
Thank you so much. No, I do really think that, like, I enjoyed the historical aspect way more than I thought I would. I mean, that makes sense considering we literally have a history podcast. But yeah. I think it's just something I've never really thought about dabbling in. I also enjoyed the character development a little more, because normally I'm very much the one of, like, all right, to the point, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So, it was interesting.
Good. Okay, I'm glad.
For me, I kind of, like, forgot about Regency ones, which is, like, if you know me, that's shocking.
Yeah.
But I have been so into, like, the elemental phase, or, like, the kind of more fantasy adventure type romance, that I forgot how much I just, like, enjoy them. And I kind of, like, I want to keep reading this novella with that, Kindle Unlimited magic.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 more stories. You've got 2 more Bianca Blythe stories in there.
I'm so curious how the sex scenes in those will be. If it's just like a
I am
makeout
also
and then
curious.
a paragraph. But
yeah, no, and we're reading all 3 of them for Boobsmas. So, I mean, I'm curious to see if it's kind of consistent across all 3 of them, or if, she shakes it up a little.
I'm very excited to learn. I will be listening to those podcasts for sure.
Yeah, we'll be turning in. We're gonna do a live commentary on ours and be like, "Hey, did you listen to that?"
Perfect. Okay, well, before we go any further, then and we've got our giveaway and our game to wrap things up. But first, we have to do our Santa rating, because otherwise Kelsey might lose it.
We don't know. Just be like, read in the paper, like, girl found dead in apartment in Long Beach. They won't find me for a while. I live alone. But
Kelsey.
Oh, God. Okay, well, Kelsey, here, you kick it off then. Santa ratings,
I'm apologizing to all of your listeners for my dark sense of humor. Not everybody's used to it. I will give this a solid 8 out of 10 for Santa, because I felt some mad-ass holiday spirit from this novella.
Wow, okay.
I was into the holidays. They had a ball. They cut down a Christmas tree. There was snow. I was all here for it. I was very into it for the holiday season.
Good.
So there you go. There's my Santa rating.
I guess I will also give it an 8, because I too felt the mad ass holiday spirit.
Kelly's sitting there going, I've made the largest mistake of my life inviting these 2 girls on this show.
I love it. No, it's funny how that was like the highest rate. And you know what? I don't know if I would have given it as high if they didn't cut down a Christmas tree. Like, because I just kept thinking it was a very snowy story. I was like, that doesn't mean it's Christmas. Like, there's a snowstorm happening on, like, every page. But, I gave it a solid, like, 7.5 for Santa. So, anytime there's a ball, right? And, they must have mentioned, like, eggnog, like, 4 times.
For sure.
Just in case, you forgot what holiday it was. You had to know that there was eggnog.
I love that the mom was so happy. She's like, oh my God, the Christmas spirit is here. The eggnog's here.
It's like, same.
Okay, so what we're going to do now to close things up is we're going to play a little game. So as of now, we're 5 days into Boobsmas, so listeners are already familiar with this next segment of the show, which I'm calling Tit or Tat.
Love.
I'm so glad. This is a would you rather-esque game, and I'm going to offer you both a series of scenarios, words, and phrases that come directly from today's reading, The Wrong Heiress for Christmas, and you will select one or the other. So, are you ready, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, and I've got 12 of them for you, because it's the 12 days of Boobsmas. To start with, peaches or cream?
Peaches.
Cream.
For sure. Love me some peaches.
Ooh, we got some controversy.
Not sure if that's a euphemism. I just really like fruit.
Kelsey! Damn it!
Interpret it as you will. There's no judgment here. Okay, number 2 is silk or velvet?
I'll go velvet. It hides sweat. So
I think I also have to go velvet just because I'm in a very velvet mood. I bought a lot of velvet home goods the other day.
A velvet mood. I like that. I want to know what a velvet mood feels like.
I bought this, like, long pillow. This is a tangent. I bought this long pillow that's velvet, and it's, like, my new favorite thing. It's Target Opal House.
Yeah, I would just, like, want to stroke it all the time.
Oh, it's so nice. It's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Well, then, here you go. This is, taking us out of America here. The Matterhorn or Mont Blanc.
Yeah, I'll say the Matterhorn.
Yeah, I think I'm also going Matterhorn. Mont Blanc sounds a little too bougie for me.
And of course, we're just talking about the mountains they mention in here and not the actual Disneyland ride.
Yes. Of course.
Okay, number 4 is scientist or poet.
Scientist.
Oh, scientist.
The poet was
Okay. Ooh. You like your intellectuals. I love it.
No, I was like, artsy boys just I don't vibe with them.
I say the fish. So it's
The fish. I can't do that shit. No.
Laboratory or laboratory?
Laboratory.
Wait, what'd you say, Kelsey?
I said laboratory.
Okay, and I said laboratory.
I actually say laboratory.
That wasn't even an option, Kelsey.
Laboratory. But I pronounce my accent's fucked up. Okay, it's
Wait, I want to hear the way you say it again.
I'm not gonna laboratory.
Okay, so there's 3 options for this one. I just can't hear laboratory and not think of, like, Dexter's Laboratory from Cartoon Network.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that makes sense.
Dexter and Dee Dee.
That's
I
a
love
great
that
show.
Oh, God, such a millennial classic.
So bad. I know. All of us are like, are we gonna go watch this afterwards?
I mean, maybe. Okay, a couple more. We've got archaeologist or ichthyologist.
Archaeologist, I hate fish.
Yeah, archaeologist.
And not just because of the French dude. Like, fish scare the shit out of me. I don't like them.
They're creepy and slimy. I'm the same way about birds. I'm not a fan
Yes!
of birds.
I also don't like birds. I can't do either of them. They creep me out. Like, I'm fine with spiders and snakes and reptiles and all that shit. Like, I can't do fish and birds. Anyways, continue.
Okay, how about ale or gin?
Gin.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go gin too.
Okay, I mean, it mixes well with things. So, especially with this next one, lemonade or ratafia? Radafia.
I'm gonna go lemonade.
Yeah, I'm also.
I couldn't pronounce that one.
I'm also gonna go with lemonade.
I looked it up and I've already forgotten how to pronounce it. And you know what? In the definition, it was either like an almond liqueur or like an almond flavored cookie.
Oh.
I mean, that sounds
Interesting.
delightful, but lemonade's like my favorite drink, so that's a really no-brainer for me.
Oh, me too. I love lemonade. You can't go wrong with lemonade.
No, it's delightful.
Perfect. Okay. Frenchman or a Brit?
Oh,
Brit.
yeah, I think Brett.
Okay. Salmon or stingray?
Salmon.
Salmon. I'm afraid of stingrays. R.I.P. Robert Irwin.
Oh my
Or Steve
god!
Irwin.
Oh my god!
Steve Irwin. Sorry, not Robert. He's protective at all costs. Fuck.
That was such like a weird part of the story where he was like making like, you are the sun to my moon, the blah 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 blah, and he's like the salmon to my, and Frederick cuts and he's like, stingray?
Yeah.
Okay, how about Daisy or Rose?
Rose.
Daisy, because my pup's name is Daisy.
Oh, sweet.
Little puppies.
Okay, that's a good pick then. I guess I would say noodle if it was between noodle and
Right.
like, steak.
Abby.
All these food name dogs. Okay, and then gold ball gown or in your birthday suit.
Gold ball gown.
Well, it's winter, so gold ball gown.
Y'all would be so pretty while I'm over here naked.
I mean, we just did an episode on To Catch a Thief, so all I'm picturing is Grace Kelly's dress from To Catch
I know,
a Thief.
right? Her
Oh
LeMay
my
dress.
God. And that dress
It's
was
so
incredible in
Oh
To
my
Catch
God.
Oh,
It's bananas.
so good. I've
So
seen her
that's-
grave in Monaco. She was a star. Okay, so last thing we've got today for the 5th day of Boobsmas is our giveaway. And for today's giveaway, we asked Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook users to ruin Thanksgiving in 4 words. And they definitely did not hold back. So before I share some of the great responses we've got, I'd love to pose the question to you both, Kelsey and Ashley. Can you ruin Thanksgiving in 4 words?
Oh man, okay.
It's not your baby.
Wow, that took a turn.
That's the only thing I could think of. I'm sorry.
I was also thinking pregnant, but then I just went with I quit my job.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh man, these are really heavy Thanksgiving topics.
That's what we do. We bring the darkness.
We
wherever
burnt
we
the
go.
turkey. We burnt the turkey is also one. Yeah, we're way too dark.
Yeah. Or I am a vegetarian. There we go.
Oh, that would suck.
Show up, be like, okay.
No, you can make sweet potatoes good. I mean, I don't eat red meat, so I'm like a little territorial, but yeah. Mashed potatoes are still bomb. You're just gonna carbo load. Is all it is. You're just not gonna get that protein in. So go find a PB&J.
I think my grandma would probably be the one that's like, what? Like, I think everyone else would be okay, but it's like the elderly that are like, what do you mean? Like, they just wouldn't get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you don't live in LA, too, without knowing somebody that's gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, dairy-free. Like, I mean, it's everything. Okay, well, let me give you some of the responses we got. So, my friend Serena, who's been on the podcast before, she said, jeans fitting even tighter?
Oh,
dick move, whoever would say
that. I do not like that.
She even wrote in that this was like from the character of decrepit aunt. Oh god, I like that some people came in with characters too. Amy Bell on Instagram said, "Do I smell burning?"
Oh fuck.
Eliza MacArthur Wright said, "Oh, this is too accurate. Are you still single?"
No.
Oh man. In the feels.
Nellie Minell said, "Should you eat that?"
Oh.
These are just hitting hard, man.
These are so brutal.
I like this one. This one gets real too. Author Cat Ransom said, "The cops are here."
I like that one.
There's a lot to I mean, the possibilities, they're just endless with that one.
To be fair, I would argue that would not ruin Thanksgiving, but make it oh so much more memorable. That would be my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You would remember it forever. That's for sure.
For sure.
Writer Sky McD said, "Strawberry Jello with horseradish. This is based off real life right here."
No, thank you.
No.
Ew.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to need follow-up on that. Lori HG said, "The Pilgrims were murderers."
Oh,
fuck.
Oh, God. This is like super, just out of nowhere, but it definitely leaves me wondering. Titanic how does she do her name? Titanic MBG, that's her Instagram handle, said, "Where is my hamster?"
Oh. No. All right.
I'm like wondering, did we like eat the hamster? Like, is that what that's for?
Or did the dog eat the hamster?
I feel like that was on
Somebody ate the hamster.
I don't like that. No, thank you.
The hamster has been eaten.
Very straightforward. The Morales said the food was horrible, and Hannah Hart's Romance said, "We're out of pie."
Been there for that one. So
a few more from Twitter were fun. There was, "When are you having kids?" Christina Connor, who's one of the hosts of My Worst Date podcast, submitted like 4. She was like on a roll with Aunt Barb hates Obama and Cousin Amy's gluten allergy.
Oh fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh, Janice Likes on Twitter said, "You're not the father."
That's a very Kelsey vibe.
And today's giveaway winner, chosen by Kelsey and Ashley specifically, is Serena from Instagram.
You killed it.
Congrats, Serena.
Yes, that was amazing.
Those jeans are fitting tighter. So that's the answer to your question. I'm just kidding. I don't wear jeans. I wear yoga pants. Thank you both so much for agreeing to come on a Merry Boobsmas episode, Kelsey and Ashley.
We loved it. Thanks for having us. We hope we didn't ruin your show.
Oh, no, of course not. Where can the wonderful people listening find Make It Modern and catch up on all the wonderful episodes you guys have to offer?
Do you want to say it, Ash?
Yeah, we're on any streaming device or service. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. And if you want to keep up with us on social media, our Twitter and Instagram is @MIM_podcast. And you can find us on Facebook @Make It Modern Podcast.
Nice. The Mim podcast.
Yes.
Mimmers.
Don't.
We don't know what to call our fans. We got nothing. So
I like the Mimmers.
Like,
that's cute.
We say it sounds like a disease. That's why we don't want to call them that. But like, it's funny. So that's what they've ended up becoming.
I'm a fan, and if you guys ever have Mimmer swag, you know I want something.
Oh my god, done.
Hell yeah. 2020, it's happening.
Okay, well, without further ado, on the 5th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 5 penis rings!
I can't.
Perfect. Done. Amazing.
On the 5th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 5 penis rings. 5 penis rings. 4 tips of fucking 3 butt plugs, 2 nipple clips, and a hot hookup underneath the tree.
Thanks so much for listening. Boobies and Noobies is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.